Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations That Matter, Light and Health from the Lighting Police. I'm delighted to be here together with three members of our advisory board, and we're going to be having a conversation on this subject of light and health. Hello, Lara, Lally, and Shelley. We are really, really delighted to have you here today. So we have prepared a series of questions. We would like to keep this, very short in terms of the discussion, so people can get a glimpse of what we are talking about. And then, of course, they are very, very welcome to ask questions on our social media platforms, and we can answer further everything we will talk about. So we know that light is more than just a visual tool; it's biological. Could you each, starting with you, Shelley, could you each share your take on why light is fundamental to our physical and mental health?
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invitation. I suppose one of the things that is emerging as a key definer in our long-term physical and mental health is actually our ability to sleep. And we know that light drives our body clock. I brought my little brain with me. The center of your brain, the light travels through part of your eye and has a hotline to this central section of your brain, which then regulates the amount of a number of hormones, including something called melatonin, which is one of the things that lets your body know that it's dark and it's time to go to sleep. So that's my contribution, is that light is a foundation for sleep, and actually so is darkness. I think we need to think about those two things together. That's me.
Super, thank you so much. You see that I'm also muting you all, so we make sure that we avoid any background noise. Thank you, Shelley, that's amazing. Lally, would you like to be the next one and share with us your take?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you so much, Katia and the team. It's wonderful to be here to have the chance to talk about this. So kind of from my perspective, the importance of it on physical and mental well-being, as following on from what Shelley said, such a crucial role of light on our health. The type and quality of light particularly has a significant impact. We all have very individual reactions to light. It's very, very complex. And it's kind of, we understand the role now of light on our circadian rhythms, how, different bodily functions, and, the big impact it has on our mood and our, productivity, our sleep, as Shelley said. I just think it's critical as well as the visual kind of pathway, also around our emotional experience of spaces. My background is in healthcare. I worked in hospitals for 13 years prior to transitioning into the lighting design industry, and both had professional and personal experiences in working in these environments. And the emotional experience of being in these places, if you have the wrong lighting, is really significant, I think, both on our ability to process our surroundings, but also how we feel, and also how we recover. So it's huge implications.
Thank you, Lally. That's really, really, truly valuable, and also very important for us to get perspectives from individuals and experts from different backgrounds and focus points. So really, really thankful for your contribution. And Lara, I will end this question with you. Please share with us your take on how and why light is that important.
So if we talk, for instance, about outdoor lighting in cities, I think it's very important to, apply like a multidisciplinary approach on the subject, and maybe integrate principles from the lighting science, from urban planning, from sociology, and even from the communities that we work with. So we, as Shelley and Lally said, we know that artificial lighting can disrupt our natural rhythms, it can affect sleep, mood. So we now know that we need to apply certain things like minimizing blue light exposure at night. So this is something really important. So I think this is something that we all know now, to use warmer colors when we do residential areas or even rural areas or cities. Even consider tunable light that shifts spectrum from one moment of or through the day through the night. Also, there are so many new technologies now that we can adapt, smart and adaptive technologies, and we can use motion sensors. We can use smart street lighting. So there are many technological improvements today that we can really use. Also, something really important, I think, it's design without glare. That's something crucial, and I think it can really affect the whole experience when we walk through a city, when we experience a new place. So, and also another really important thing I think today is to avoid overlighting cities, overlighting streets, overlighting all our rural environment. So it's not only human well-being, but it's also environmental well-being that we need to be talking about. And finally, I think involving the communities in the designing of our cities is also really important, because they can really add a lot of very important and valuable input.
This is fantastic, Lara. Thank you very much. And actually ties perfectly with the next question we have prepared, which has to do with current gaps in awareness or practice. And I will go now to Shelley. And what are some of the most common misconceptions that people have about light and its effect on their well-being, like maybe something that you could identify and share with us from your expertise?
I think, firstly, the most common misconception that people have is that they have no choice, that doing things well is going to be more expensive and take a lot more energy and effort and hassle. So I think that's the first thing, is that actually there are so many ways we can improve the quality of light and darkness that don't cost more money, that don't cost more environmentally. So that's the first one. I think the other thing is that I gave a talk recently and people came up afterwards and said, I thought all blue light was bad. And I think that an understanding that the right light at the right time is key. And some people need more bright, cool light at different times of the day, particularly those who have a suppressed mood system or body clock system. So I think that, again, people have heard all about blue light being bad. And they also say, I must switch off my computer at night. But it's not the computer so much as the fact that they're playing video games or trying to finish a report that keeps them up at night. So I think people mix up the effects of light with other lifestyle choices that they make. So those would be my observations on some of the gaps that I see.
That's great. Very, very important. And also, those questions of people on, like, you realize how much awareness we need to bring to all of those conversations. And this is exactly what the Lighting Police platform is doing, focusing on raise awareness to the general public about all of those aspects of light. So thank you so much for being part of it and contributing. So the next question is, what can designers and policy makers do better, better? And maybe we can address this to you, Lara, because you also kind of touched on the outdoor environment in that way. So from product designers to urban planners, how can we better integrate health-centric lighting principles into everyday spaces?
It's a very wide question, but I think a healthy lighting environment is one that really supports our natural rhythms, whether it's interior or exterior, and that is comfortable, and also that allows to be personalized. I think that's really important. So when we talk about designers from our point of view, I think we need to really consider dynamic systems, dynamic lighting systems, not only to adjust the amount of light and the color of the light depending on where we are and the activity of the day also, but also in places where there's no access to daylight, for instance, maybe mimic the daylight rhythm with tunable, white light systems. That is supposed to be really helpful. Of course, when I talk about things like this, we are no doctors, lighting designers are no doctors, but we do have a big responsibility. So I think there is a lot of information right now, and we need to rely on that information in order to take, the right decisions. but I think there are some very basic and common sense things that we need to take into account, like using low glare systems, using really good quality of light with a good CIRA, creating a balance between horizontal light and vertical light, creating a balance between luminance and illuminance, all sort of things that really are part of our job and that really make a difference in the spaces that we illuminate. And also, as Shelley was saying, the right amount of light in the right amount of place and in the right place. So that also makes a big difference. And also being able to control your space. I think that is very important because I think, especially in hospitals and maybe senior homes, it really has proven to make people in charge of their environment and to be independent and reduce the amount of anxiety that they might feel in places like that.
This is great point actually for Lally also to comment on this question. I think it's really very, very well tied up in order to close this part and go to the last question. So Lally, would you like to also add on what Lara just described on the hospital sector and how this personalization can really change the dynamic there and improve people's life?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think, and yeah, absolutely agree with what Lara said. I think that there's so much potential, and there's so much research out there now that's showing the benefits of these in these different environments and how it relates to improving health outcomes of patients, across a spectrum, huge spectrum of kind of health conditions. And I think it's around keeping that going, so continuing to build that robust evidence base, but also I'd really encourage kind of continuing to reach out and be creative in our collaboration as designers with people within that industry. So I know Lara said we're not doctors, absolutely not, but these clinicians are research-led, driven individuals we have a shared common need, want to be able to support the health outcomes of our patients, our users of a space. We're all trying to do the same thing here. And I think there's a lot of potential if you've got the research now to show it, that people can then, if you go to these clinicians, like many of them will probably be really interested in it, and then may want to, they'll be able to champion these kind of initiatives and these projects internally, and kind of from a ground up approach, as well as kind of from a educating to then, get these kind of lighting approaches included in briefs at the start, kind of a two-pronged approach. So I think there's a lot of potential there.
Awesome. Thank you, Lally, very much. And Lara and Shelley, I think your contributions have been very, very important to this conversation. So just to close up now, let's go to the last question, which is the future of healthy lighting and your take on it. And looking ahead, what one change would you like to see in the next 5 years when it comes to the relationship between light and health? And I will start with you, Shelley, on this answer. Let me just unmute you. And please, maybe you need to unmute yourself, Shelley, because it doesn't let me do it. Yes, now, perfect. So please share with us what is your wish for the next 5 years in this sector.
I think my wish is that people actually think about light very early on, and they also integrate daylight and darkness in those conversations at the beginning. What I see very often is that light is, people go, we're going to have lights, and they put some cables in the diagram, and then they bring in, if they do bring in a professional, way down the line when there's no money and no time. And then having done that, they stick some stuff in the ceiling. I've been an electrician myself, and I know that doing things fast and cheaply is top of everybody's list. Then they leave, they hand over the keys and possibly the code to access the system, and you never see them again. So my wish is that lighting is taken as seriously as we're now taking HVAC, for example. Air quality is now very high on the agenda, and I think that lighting, it's time for lighting to shine in the same way, and for us to be aware that the real work starts after people move in, when we actually start to see how the building functions and lives. And we can see amazing energy savings, but also performance improvements if we really look at the whole life cycle of the lighting installation. So that's my hope, is that we take it seriously.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Very, very, very true. Lara, what about you? What is your wish for light and health for the next 5 years?
Well, it's very aligned with Shelley. I mean, most lighting designers are aware of the impact of lighting on health and well-being. I'm not sure everybody really takes it into account when designing. So that would be my first wish. I wish everybody really, it was like one of the first things you ask yourself when you start designing a project, whatever kind of project. I think there is um, a problem with people who are not trained as lighting designers doing lighting projects. I think that is a big problem because there are manufacturers, there are other professions doing lighting design projects without taking the knowledge that we are acquiring little by little and applying it in our projects. But anyway, I'm really quite optimistic because I think we know more and more. There are more and more studies. There are more and more research and more technological developments that are really helping us to take the right decisions and to design in a better way. And we more and more understand what better light is, what good light is, and what it does to our bodies and to the environment. So I think we can, by learning and by staying aware of all this, we can make better decisions. And this goes for all of us, really.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we are all have the responsibility to spread the word and act on that. Lally, closing words from you, please, with a wish for this subject about the next 5 years.
And with Lara and Shelley, and like you said, Katia, we have a responsibility now. We know the information's there, the evidence there. Yes, it's growing, which is fantastic, and we really do need to continue to build that, especially around real world application and showing not just the benefits to the users of the space, but also the health economics of that, because that's going to be some of the work that also helps to get this embedded. That's going to be kind of some of the work that we can get that into the minds of the people setting the briefs to these projects. They'll ask for it. So I think that's what people always will kind of look to see. So kind of strengthening that, and also again supporting around legislation to kind of start really focusing on this and having recognizing the importance of this and embedding it into practice, so kind of take it from that way as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, all of you. Lally, Lara, Shelley, really, really amazing to be here with you and exchange those ideas on this very, very, very important topic. I think it's clear that light isn't just a matter of design, it's a matter of public health. We hope this conversation inspires our viewers to think more critically and creatively about how we light our world. Stay tuned for more from the Lighting Police, and of course you're very welcome to share your questions on wherever you see this piece of content, and we will make sure to communicate it with our advisory board members and give you back your answers. So thank you very, very much. Really delighted to be here, and on behalf of the Lighting Police team, we would like to thank you for all of your contributions to our platform. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.